So we've got our wine glass, and currently we are looking at it in shaded mode. And of course, remember, now of course you're wondering, why is the wine glass blue? Well, remember that anything in shaded mode always takes on the color of the layer that it's on. So I've got this layer on picture. This layer is blue. I can go ahead, if I want to change this layer color to green, everything on it will now be green. So that's what shaded mode does. Now, if I want to take a look at it realistically, I'm going to switch to rendered mode. Now, rendered's not bad for realism, but there are a few little glitches here, so you might notice it's just white on a white background. Now, if I take a look here under rendering, if you have anything other, it's always a good idea to start out down here. So pick my rendering tab and go down to the very, very bottom and click on Reset to Defaults. Yes, I do. Okay, so I was already in the defaults. And you'll see a white object on a white background. Now, rendering tries to make it look realistic, but there are a lot of parameters that are going to change that. So right now, my wine glass is being rendered as a white solid object. I believe it's actually technically made out of plaster, which doesn't seem all that right, sitting on a white plaster background. So yeah, you've got a polar bear in a snowstorm situation here. One of the things I like to do, rather than go for kind of all the different settings, is under the backdrop, I like to have a 360 environment, which is specifically the Rhino Studio. Now, what that provides is a little bit of lighting, and you can actually see these big white areas up here that are bordered by dark gray areas. What these represent are skylights, and the light is coming in from these big skylights and shining on our objects. That actually gives me a little bit more realism here. I'm going to play around with those another time, and there's lots of different rendering settings you can have. Now, what I would like to do, though, is I would like to turn this into something a little more realistic. More specifically, I'd like it to be glass. So rendering will take a look at what the materials and the background are before making its picture. Now, to change the materials, I'm going to go up to this tab right here, Materials, and I can see I do have a material called glass. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take that material, I'm going to make sure that I am in rendered mode, otherwise I'm not going to see anything. And I am going to drag that over onto this to assign that material to this object. And suddenly you can see my object seems semi-transparent. And I can still see the lines there, but my object is now semi-transparent. You can sort of see it as a faint kind of glow there. Now what this is Rhino is having a bit of a trade-off. If I want to be able to rotate this object around and let my computer catch up so I can rotate it in real time, so it is responding to the movement of my mouse, it can't render things very realistically. The graphics card's just not fast enough. Give it a few years and we'll be able to see that. What I would like to see is I would like to see this actually looking realistic. Now, before I do that, it helps, because this is transparent, I'm just going to draw a couple little objects here. I'm just going to draw a box. Okay, little box right there. Okay, so there's a box behind my glass, and you'll see why when I do this. So, of course, you can see right there, I can see right through the glass to the box, but the box isn't distorted. What is happening right now is this is showing me that this is a transparent object, but it's like it's infinitely thin. The surfaces are infinitely thin. I'm going to go up here and I am going to choose Render. And this starts the rendering ray trace engine. And now, I'm going to take a few seconds here. And here's the end result. You can actually see that what the computer is doing is it's looking at the object, the box that is the light from the box that's passing through the glass, and it's distorting it just like it would with an actual piece of glass. This takes a huge amount of calculations, and you can actually see it took 10 minutes to render that picture. And this is a half-decent graphics card too, so that was quite a lot of work there. I'm thinking it's because of the background surface. It's actually using that in a lot of the calculations. So that's something that I haven't tried before, but now I'm realizing, yeah, that might be something that's slowing it down. So the more objects you have, generally, the longer render time it's going to take. And especially with transparent objects and reflections too. You can just barely see if there's a reflection of the background skylight in the glass. So objects will reflect, they'll refract. It's quite a complicated process. So that's why it takes so much time. So there's our glass, and there's rendering it.